TIL Steve Irwin helped contribute to a search for two scuba divers, who were reported missing in an area near where Irwin was filming a documentary. They stopped production, helped search, and found one of the scuba divers, still alive. The other was found dead nearby a few days later. God, Steve Irwin was such an amazing person. I enjoyed watching him when I was a kid. He was always like, here's the most venomous snake in all the land. Let's go see what it's up to. See, if I touch right, whoa. Testy little fella. Crikey, let's try that again. His passion for animals and other life forms was contagious, and he made exploration so much more exciting. I laughed a lot too, when I watched him. Half of me in amazement, the half thinking this guy's nuts. So sad when he passed, I felt that one. I'm always glad to hear when they quietly did good things. He's missed. Can you imagine? You're lost, you don't know if your friend is alive, and in your darkest moment you hear a familiar "G'day mate, get a little lost did we?" You look up to see Steve Irwin looking down at you. I'd cry. Imagine if he was still around. I feel like he'd have a huge podcast in 2020. Some parts of Australia have no coast guard. Man was a saint, and there aren't many people in this world like him. He is the main reason for my love of animals. I can still hear him saying, "Look at the size of that Sheila," when approaching a female crocodile. Anybody wonder why it's next to impossible to find any streaming service, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, HBO, Disney Plus, streaming any of his old shows? Steve was my hero. He's the reason I'm fascinated by the smallest spiders to the biggest reptiles. Can't believe it's been 14 years without him now. We named our ball python Irwin in honor of Steve and that wonderful family. I'll get down to Beervah one of these days. The older I get, the more I appreciate Steve Irwin. When I was younger, I thought he was insane to put himself near wild animals, but I was drawn to him because of his passion. I am glad that his kids have the same passion, which has kept his legacy alive. He is nearing Mr. Rogers standards. Steve Irwin should be on the Aussie $100 note. Deadset legend. I was working in the 90s for a company, translating and subtitling Animal Planet and Discovery. I remember when we first saw Steve Irwin, it was something new and amazing. We were always fighting on who will get the next episode. Which normal human being wouldn't do this? Nah, mate. The camera's on me and I'm busy. Look for your mates by yourself. I like how this is the till, but not the fact he has snail named after him. Another newly discovered Australian animal, a species of air-breathing land snail, Cricus Steve Irwin, was named after Irwin in 2009. Typical bloody Australians, always helping. Fuck them for being too wholesome. That is both interesting and sad. When I was around the age of 8, Steve was my hero. I miss him to this day. I like sharing this when I see a post about Steve Irwin show up. https://www. YouTube.com/watch, v=te1hdsip_rxu. Old but gold. God, I miss Steve. I hope he's up wrestling crocs and looking after the animals we lost in the fires this year. This man is a world treasure and very much part of my childhood. His passion for wildlife and nature was incredible. Watching him, you knew he was truly connected with what he was doing. What a legend of a dude. Victory hand, light skin tone. I always knew Steve was a solid guy but never knew the story. Thanks up. Rip Steve. Great guy. Steve Irwin. Mr. Roger. Bob Ross. Humans who are kind to animals are most likely to be kind towards others and kind in general. I want to say by default, but just settled for a safe most likely. A truly great guy who helped people get involved in nature and conservation on a global scale. Taken way too soon. Steve Irwin seems to be one of the few celebrities whom there is only ever good news that comes out about them posthumously. I hope that never changes, as I never get tired of hearing good things about him. Top 5 people to spend eternity with. He cared about animals, he cared about people, but most importantly he always cared about doing what was right. Isn't that maritime law though? I worked in a cinema when I was like 16. When they bought the movie version out, they let me take the cardboard cutout advertising stand thing home when the movie left the theaters. I loved it. Came home after a night out, was sick all over it, went to sleep, woke up, had to throw it out. Was devastated. The hangover was bad too. The world lost a great man when he died. That being said, it's wonderful to see his kids follow in his footsteps. I miss watching his show as a kid, The Real King of Australia. This is the way. I see this as an absolute win. He was just such a good guy. I adored him as a kid and still do. It's so odd. The more I learn about him, the more it makes me sad he is gone. It's to the point pics of him have me holding back tears. Bloody good bloke. The world would be that necessary tiny little bit brighter if he was still around. I really wish they had a big Blu-ray collection of the Crocodile Hunter sometimes. I miss him so much. New level of wholesomeness. Good people leave this earth too soon. Maybe it is because they have done their good deeds and it is time to go home. Somehow more evil people seem to live longer. We used to have a live variety TV show called Rove Live here in Australia, and I will never forget the last time Steve Irwin was on there taking down an inflatable crocodile in a kid's pool. One of the funniest guests I have ever seen on a talk show. What the hell? 14 years have already passed since he died. I thought it happened like 5 years ago. Rest in peace. My research has shown that if you're a really outstanding person, you're more likely to die too soon. So I try to be just enough of a dick that I don't die, cause I like to live. Fun fact, most Aussies thought this man was an embarrassment right up until he died and became a national treasure. I moved there from the US, and only had Steve Irwin and Paul Hogan as cultural references. I would ask folks there about Steve Irwin, and always got the same response, "Ah, that dickhead." Even for an Aussie, the bloke was a bloody legend. I actually miss the guy, such an enthusiast. Quick reminder to fuck PETA for disrespecting him. I have come to believe two guys definitely made it to heaven, and it's Steve Irwin and Bob Ross. If only this man was still alive. He was a true hero of our time, a real man, which is rare to see these days. My first celebrity death. I didn't watch Steve Irwin very often, and I was only 14-15 when he died, but damn did his death affect me. Up until then, I somehow felt like celebrities were untouchable. He was a good bloke. It feels surreal, having watched his kids grow up and his daughter get married. Fuck, we miss Steve Redheart. He's a hero. This man had utterly no hormones controlling fear, and we thank the Lord every day for it and the time we got to spend with him. I loved watching Steve Irwin. Back when I first started working a full-time job, on my lunch break I would eat at this restaurant that had little TVs in the booths, so you could just watch TV and eat. I remember feeling so alone in the big city, but I would watch Crocodile Hunter, back when Steve was making them, and I felt so cozy. It's a real shame he had to go. Damn, I miss hearing crikey during nature shows. Uneasy face. What an amazing man, who raised a just as amazing family. Love their conservation work. A truly beautiful man. Both inside and out. Top bloke for sure. That's so fucked about that scuba diver. He was found dead nearby. Ugh. What kind of shit luck. TIL Steve Irwin was an even greater man than I thought. Admire his passion for animals, you could see it in his eyes, not something one can fake. Top bloke. I have such a high opinion of this man that any news like this doesn't surprise me, it just makes me sad and miss him more. That was good of him to have rescued the scuba divers. Humanity treasure this one. He was truly a top bloke. Crikey. I love my finger because it is buried dead because it is in my mouth. Learn this from the kid that does animal facts today. You must follow him too. Thanks a lot, Steve Irwin, /r/Chuck Norris's environmentally conscious brother. If only they didn't pull the damn stinger out. PSA: if it happens to you, leave it in.